I want to really show why it's important of this concept of a sanctuary city.
Not my first rodeo.
March 5th or any other day, I'm going to show up. I'm going to show up for the people of Chicago as I've always done.
There you have the mayors of blue sanctuary cities set to testify today for a House Oversight Committee hearing examining sanctuary city policies. To prepare for these hearings, Boston Mayor Michelle Wu spent $650,000, while Denver Mayor Mike Johnston put aside $2 million for sanctuary city policies. Colorado Congresswoman Lauren Boebert responded to it. Watch.
I'm curious to know why Denver Mayor Mike Johnston needed $2 million to prep to come before Congress and testify. I think some veterans in Colorado could have used that money, and certainly the city that is really defaulting, going bankrupt, could use that money elsewhere.
Joining me now is Kentucky Congressman and House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer. Mr. Chairman, great to see you this morning. Thanks so much for being here.
Good morning, Maria.
So your hearing comes on the heels of Vice President Vance's trip to the U.S.-Mexico border today. And we just heard all this conversation about what these mayors are spending. Why would they spend $2 million in Denver to prep for your hearing, $650,000 to prep, as well as money allocated, I guess, to sanctuary city policies? What did they need to spend that money on?
I have no idea. I mean, unless it's an admission of guilt. Look, these four mayors have all at one time or another publicly proclaimed that their cities were sanctuary cities. They have welcomed people who have entered our country illegally. They have worked with them to house them, to get them on Medicaid, which is free health care. They've provided meals for them, all at hardworking, tax-paying Americans' expense. Now, we've got a new administration in town here that has secured the border, and we have Tom Homan, who is trying to deport the criminal illegals. But even after this, we've still got at least 3 of those 4 mayors who will be testifying today who have proclaimed that they're not going to work with Tom Homan. So we brought them in. We're going to see if they'll say that publicly, because that's a violation of the law. We've got a lot of questions about who actually is coordinating these efforts to make these sanctuary cities. How are these people being transported there, and who's paying for it?
Well, I mean, New York City Mayor Eric Adams initially was all in on helping the Trump administration, but we know now he's supporting a new plan to ease requirements for illegals, giving illegal migrants ID residency cards. This means hundreds of thousands of migrants who came through to America illegally could get access to everything from housing to free health care. Boston Mayor Michelle Wu is now accused of siding with criminals. She apologized to the family of a man shot and killed by an off-duty police officer who was threatening people with a knife. Mr. Chairman, your thoughts?
This is totally against the will of the American people. The American people spoke loud and clear. They want a president that will secure the border, and they don't want these blue city mayors to continue to advertise as sanctuary cities and allow their crime rates to skyrocket. Not only is it a drain on the resources for these 4 cities, it's a threat to the people who live in these cities. Many of these people who are flocking to these sanctuary cities are criminals. They were criminals in the countries that they left, and they're criminals here in the United States. This is unacceptable. This is a huge issue in America, and the fact that at least 3 of the 4 mayors who will be testifying today have openly proclaimed that they are going to block Tom Homan from coming in and deporting the criminal illegals. Tom Homan and Donald Trump, they're not talking about deporting every single person that's here illegally. They're talking about the ones who have committed crimes, the worst offenders. That's where we're starting, and yet these mayors have publicly stated they're not going to cooperate. That's against the law, and we're going to have them under oath today, and that's probably why they've spent so much money lawyering up before this committee hearing.
Well, that's incredible, the amount of money they spent on lawyers. The president mentioned some of this last night as he addressed a joint session of Congress, highlighting some of the administration's early achievements in this first 6 weeks. Watch.
And we've ended weaponized government, where, as an example, a sitting president is allowed to viciously prosecute his political opponent, like me. How did that work out? Not too good. Not too good. And I have stopped all government censorship and brought back free speech in America.
Congressman, what did you make of the speech last night? You were in the room. It felt like there was a lot of optimism afterwards and certainly this morning.
I love the speech. And America saw the difference between conservatives and liberals. Conservatives are upbeat, they're positive, we're risk takers, we believe in the free market, we believe in a limited government. And then they saw the liberals. They're angry, they're bitter, they're negative, they don't want to do anything, they want to continue to operate in deficits and write blank checks to countries around the world with no accountability or no oversight. I think America is happy that we've got a strong president for the first time in 4 years. And his speech last night, I believe, fueled optimism. He talked about his agenda, and he talked about everything he's accomplished in the first 41 days, which is pretty impressive, especially considering that border apprehensions have gone down from an average of 10,400 per week under Biden to 241 last week under Donald Trump. That is a massive turnaround, 94%. Our border's secure. That's going to mean less fentanyl, less human trafficking. And once he gets these new trade deals negotiated with our countries and stops China from flooding our country with fentanyl, I think you're going to see the golden age in America again, thanks to the leadership.
And he certainly went through that. I'm sorry, pardon me, Mr. Chairman. And he certainly went through that, talking about tariffs, chip repeal, car loan interest deduction, shipbuilding incentives, so many policies. I didn't hear much about the potential of a government shutdown, the debt ceiling or reconciliation, and, of course, Medicaid, which is what the Democrats are upset about. Mr. Chairman, where are you in terms of the reconciliation plans and the potential for a government shutdown on March 14th?
Well, we don't need a government shutdown, and I think we're all going to be on board in passing the continuing resolution. The big goal here is the budget reconciliation bill. That is the Trump agenda. That extends the tax cuts. That has funding to ensure that the border's secure from now on. This will be what the American people voted for, and I believe we're going to get there. When you talk about Medicaid, we're not talking about cutting Medicaid. We're talking about making reforms to Medicaid where we stop the improper payments and we stop the fraud in Medicaid. I think that's what Americans want. That's what Americans expect from their government, and that's what Republicans under President Trump are trying to provide.
All right, Mr. Chairman, it's great to catch up this morning. Thanks very much for being here. We'll be watching your work, sir.
Thank you, Maria.
James Comer on Capitol Hill. Stay with us. We'll be right back.